first one out, so fuck you. I love much better than being later in the lineup. We have a treat for you. So many of our beautiful performers are here, and Brian. So Cailee Spaeny. Okay, you had me. Hold this for a second. You had me at this.
Yes, so good.
It just felt like a metaphor for life. And only you are the weirdest and yet most interesting person, Brian. You have such a broad spectrum of ideas and the way that you can combine them into a movie. And that this one has these themes that are much darker and much more, you could never have led with this movie. It's too complex. You have to finish, I'm guessing it's finish, I don't know. No, we want
Never
more.
finish,
We
never
want
finish,
more.
never
Never Ron Bergman right now is literally gonna have send somebody over here to go like, Jaimie, please don't say it. It's finished. But you could never have been the first of this trilogy or quadrophenia or whatever the fuck it's gonna be. Talk to me about the thematic hold for this one.
Well, and first of all, thank you guys for being here, and Jaimie did great. I would like to say, a big part of the reason these movies are what they are is because of Jaimie. In the first movie, no, I mean, you talked. It's my turn. It's my turn. In the first movie, Jaimie, I mean, the spirit of an ensemble and the love between the actors is maintained through all three of these films. Started with Jaimie. She was the den mother on the first movie. She was the one who bonded everyone together. She was the center of love on that set. And besides the beautiful performance that she brought, she loves her fellow actors, and she was the one who created that tone in the first movie. So
I you all, and certainly you guys don't need the reminder, it is a collaborative art form. This is not singular, this is collaborative, and the beautiful, sorry I haven't went back to, I feel like the word, I was raised better, and I'm so sorry, the woman in orange, who I've literally gone like this. Forgive me, but it is a collaborative art form, and it's what makes it so satisfying, I think, both as performers and creators. So, please, talk to me about Darkness at the Edge of Town.
So, yeah, I mean, with this one, I did want to, I wanted to dig in a little deeper with this one, and I wanted, you know, there's always a risk in doing the third one of anything, I think. And for me and Daniel, we, you know, we don't think of these movies as just making another one in the series. We really want each one of them to be like Agatha Christie's novels, to be a singular thing that's on the shelf. And that means we want to keep challenging ourselves with them. We want to keep trying things that we're not sure if we can pull off. And so, for me, the idea of getting very personal with this one was the path. And that's why it's about faith. Faith is something that's very personal to me. I grew up very, very Christian up through my early 20s, and it wasn't just that I was in a Christian household. It was personally, my relationship with Christ was something that really framed how I saw the world around me. It was a very important thing to me that I took a lot from. And I'm not a believer anymore. I'm not a Christian anymore. And so I have a lot of complicated feelings about it. And the idea of seeing if I can take that very multifaceted thing inside me, and in a way that didn't feel like it was just tiptoeing around the subject and being toothless, but at the same time had a generous spirit in the way it approached it and wasn't didactic or finger waggy. To see if that could engage with a big, fun Benoit Blanc mystery, and those two things could serve each other, that seemed like a really interesting challenge. And so that was kind of the starting point for this one.
Sometimes, you just go like, what? Okay, but you said the magic word, which is faith. Now, we're actors, the rest of us up here. And it's our job to translate the feelings and internal lives of these characters that are fiction into something that has a pulse and a conscience and a depth. And Josh, what the flying fuck? I am undone by his depth of belief, and it's all in your eyes. It's a subtle work, even though it's a complicated work, and it's an extraordinary performance. It's just the center, the moral center, the complicated center of faith in something, and you're just, and I want to remind you all, there are hundreds of people around, it's raining, stuff's going on, the news, we're on our phones, and then at some point, this one says, and action. And then you deliver these moments in this movie. Please talk about, because you're spectacular in the movie, and without you, it's just gorgeous. So, please, I know I didn't even ask you a question, basically. So, figure out what the question is and answer.
I'll have a stab at it. That's very kind words. It means a lot, and I'm British, so that's why I'm squirming. The truth is that with this incredible cast and with Rian, who is this extraordinary writer and writes dialogue and philosophy and these themes so beautifully, and then alongside that is the ultimate actor's director. And for me, I'd never been on a set. I'd never made a film to this scale. And so from my kind of theatre and independent film background, I was like, well, Ryan's going to have no time for his actors. He's too busy with lights and stuff like that, and renting cameras. But no, from the beginning, Ryan and I were talking about everything and kind of approaching a character as he would normally, or in my experience, as he would normally, and trying to establish what a character wants, what's the stumbling block in their way and how they overcome that. Some of our early conversations were around faith, and like Ryan, although in a different sort of church, I grew up Irish Catholic and went to church every Sunday and was kicked off the altar as an altar boy for smiling too much. And so I had my own experience of faith, and when this script came to me, it was like, and when I was talking to Ryan, I felt like I was in a particular place in my life around faith, where I sort of, I feel very sort of spiritual, I suppose, and I do have faith. I haven't quite found a home for it yet, and maybe I never will. I think maybe I'm just agnostic, but I think Judd just articulated the fundamental where my faith lies, which is just in openness and uncertainty and forgiveness and all those things that he's sort of driven by. And then Brolin with Monsignor Wicks is another type of which I suspect you all know very well in this country, and in our country too. So yeah, having that antithesis, but truly it comes, a lot of it is just down to having this incredible dialogue and incredible script and a director who takes care to work with you and develop a character.
I'm serious, people. I'm so excited about this day. It's just living up to every part of my fantasy. I met Kerry Washington. We don't know each other, but I met Kerry Washington at the Women's March in Los Angeles. And I had the pleasure, because they were going to be speaking, and we were running late, and I was like, no, you don't need me to speak, no. But Helen Reddy will sing if you're ready. And so ultimately my job got to be introducing Helen Reddy, who sang a cappella, I Am Woman, to the assembled. But then Kerry Washington gave a speech. And I believe when you walked off stage, I believe I did say to you, I hope you will run for president, and I hope you will allow me to be your campaign manager. Now, we did not know each other.
No, but you have said it to me every time I've seen you since. And now she's been like, what about Senate? Governor? Like, she keeps shifting the race to try to convince me.
Yeah, well, now I want you to be president. Anyway, you have a hard part, I think, because you are holding back. To me, you're like a racehorse at the beginning, and you're holding back because you've aligned with something that's supposed to carry you. And then there's that point where the rein breaks, and so for me, that was my great pleasure of watching you, was this attempt at pulling it back and then letting it go. Talk to me about how you built that within the course of a movie, and you know, also just everything. How did you feel when Ryan sent it to you, and all of the yummy parts that we all want to know?
Well, I had a very similar experience to Josh in that I just didn't think, I mean, it's a certain kind of actor I believe is drawn to do this kind of ensemble work, because you have to be willing to show up every day and not be the most important person there. When you do an ensemble piece, there's like an inherent communal vibe and generosity of spirit that you're creating something together. So I did not expect Ryan to have any time to talk to me about my character and the arc, and he so beautifully carved out space to work with each and every one of us. When I first got the call that Ryan wanted to even meet about being in the new Knives Out movie, I was like, yes, like there's nothing to even talk about. I wanted to do it immediately. So then when I got the script, which was, by the way, these spoilers are so protected, the script comes to you in like a borrowed laptop with a security code, and then like it's gonna self-destruct, and they know when you've read it and when you haven't read it, and it's wild. But so I was reading the script, and I was like, I know that a lot of characters in these films, that usually they each have a moment. And I wasn't seeing what Vera's moment was when I was reading. I was kind of reading, going like, I don't know what, like, what is it that why does he think I should play this role? I don't really see what she's doing. I don't see what's happening for her. And then I got to that moment where the reins get free, and it took my breath away.
And ours away too.
Yeah, it just, it really was like, oh, now I have to go back and fill in what's happening in all those silences, and what's bubbling underneath to earn that explosion. And I'm so grateful, because we all know you can do work sometimes that you're not in the edit, right? If you're not a producer on something, you're not in the edit to protect your performance. And so I knew what I had done in the silences and what I had done to build up the trajectory of that explosion, but you never know if the director and the editors are gonna get it or gonna have it. And so one of the greatest gifts for me in seeing the film for the first time was just feeling so grateful to Ryan for how much he loves every single one of these characters, that he takes care of you, that every choice makes sense, that he sees the work when it's happening, and then he makes sure that it goes up on the screen. And that's not always the experience. So it was really so like satisfying, and I was so filled with gratitude when I saw the film. And because I not only saw that for me, but I saw it for everybody. I saw everybody's tiny little detailed specific moments of excellence in the quiet moments, in the big moments, just all of it's up there. And to do that with a cast this big, that in itself is an art form. And that is all serving the same story. It is beautiful filmmaking.
Yeah. There's always a puppy. There's always a newbie. There's always.
It was so me.
It was so
obviously
you.
the puppy.
I know.
Yeah.
But you also have a tricky part because you have believed that this person will help you. And I'm sure many of us have aligned with people who we're told were going to help us. And watching your growing understanding that wasn't going to happen, and the heartbreak that what he was promising was not going to come true for you was so beautifully acted. And I would just love to talk about that. Again, that's a subtle, it's a compliment. Again, I'm not asking really a question. I'm giving you a compliment and then asking you to answer it. It's like my thing. And it's, whatever. But I think you know what I'm asking without asking it.
Yeah, the battle between the logic and the faith, and needing so badly for there to be an answer, for there to be a root, and then when it doesn't work out, her sort of knowing that of course it's not gonna work, and her sort of looking in the wrong places in the wrong way, and she's such a beautiful, I'm so relieved at that ending that she has. It's so beautifully done. But when Brian and I met, we have very similar upbringings. Christian Baptist, was in the church 3 days a week, and walking away from the church was a real heartbreak for me, and it's, you carry it forever. And wanting to place your faith in something, give it up, give the pain up. I just really understood, and I have people in my family who are still in the church who I love very much, and I see that struggle in them every day, that fight between the head and the heart, and I just thought it was beautiful, and it was so nice getting to meet you, Ryan, and having that in-depth conversation, because the second you know that bit of information, so many blanks get filled. And God, I just find this movie incredibly touching, because at the end, there's so much faith in human beings. And
grace, right?
And so much grace, and God, I really need that right now.
We all need it right now. And to me, it's a metaphor. To me, it's Ryan's metaphor. For all of us, which is that it's never going to be easy, it's always going to be hard, but that if you persevere and focus in on the art, on the truth, which is your talent, it will out and we will win. And I really do feel it's a very hopeful message. Was that an intention? Was that a political intention, Rian Johnson, on your part, or just more of an emotional, spiritual intention?
Well, it's it kind of, that's so beautifully said. It comes from the emotional spirit of spiritual. I think a script always has to start from I don't know. Sometimes before I've said it starts with something you're angry about. The reality is I don't think that's quite right. I think it always starts with something you're hungry for. And for me, that was beautifully put. That was the basic, essential thing of it. And as it relates specifically to my relationship with faith and with Christianity in America specifically, and there are, I think, like for instance with Josh's character, to write Father Judd, when I first started writing, it was wrong. It wasn't feeling right. And I realized it was because I was writing him from the point of view of me as a 51-year-old who hasn't been a Christian for decades. And I had to put myself back into when I was a believer and back into that moment, and that meant reconnecting with the things that I believe that the teachings of Christ do say that the world needs so badly right now, and that felt really healing doing that, and that was the basic kind of hunger that this whole thing came out of.
I think what's magical is that you have this human being in Rian who's willing to grapple with his old versions of faith and his new versions of existence. And because of that, we have these two characters at the end of the film who, one is a believer and is choosing to stay and lead this beautiful church, and the other is a detective who's like, no, thank you. And they coexist, and there's so much grace and acceptance and friendship between them, despite the fact that they see things differently. And it was like I could feel Rian's own acceptance of himself in that moment, and it sets a chart, like a map for all of us to be able to coexist.
Stump stage. Sorry. We'll just leave it in. We'll just pull from this. I'll get it back to you. We have speechwriters. It's all good.
Also, 2028, Kerry Washington, top of the ticket. Let's make it happen.
Dude, come
Let's
on.
make it happen. Washington Curtis, come on.
No. I'm way too controversial. I see. Oh, no.
That's what we need. Come on.
There's an elephant in the room, and he has not been spoken of. Mr. Benoit Blanc. So every time I see him, he looks like Paul Feig. Whenever I see
Expand on that.
well, he just if you look at pictures of Paul
The
Feig,
suits,
you look
the
at
suits.
there's
Suits,
like
yeah.
well, the glasses and like it's so good. So you work so much of your work and the score. Come on, the score. It's spectacular. So you work with a creative team often, right? Jenny Egan, who does the costumes, Steve, who shoots, Nathan, who does this. So talk about, because I'm not in it.
But you started it.
Whatever.
You started it.
Whatever, I'm fine. Not fine, but whatever. We are the front-facing. We get the attention. It's as if Josh wrote the monologues he gets to give. It's as if Carrie. Do you know what I mean? But it's a collaborative art form, and you collaborate with the same artists over and over again. But it's very different canvases each time. Talk about these collaborations, please, because they fill the movie.
Yeah, it's something that, I grew up making movies with my friends in high school, and it wasn't like we were making movies to submit to film festivals or to get agents or something. We were in high school, we just got together, that's how we hung out, was just making movies. And now I feel so lucky that, like you said, Steve Yedlin, my cinematographer, we've been best friends since we were 17. Nathan Johnson, my composer, is my cousin. We've been making movies together since we were 10 years old. Jenny Egan has done all three of these. Bob Doucet, our editor, I've been working with since Looper. I find that, like for example, with Steve and Nathan, oftentimes I think when the director hires a composer, it's like, well, it's this kind of movie, so let's look for someone who does this kind of thing. I think when you're working with people you have roots with that go back that deep, there's this beautiful thing where you feel like with each new project you can try anything together. And you give each other permission to, okay, what could this be? And it's a whole new sandbox every single time. And because your relationship is not with their resume, it's with this person that you've known for decades, you have that foundation of trust to take swings with. And then you're making movies with your friends again, which is kind of what it's all about.
And just one technical question. So that didn't just happen when the sun happened to
Yeah.
pop up over his head. I'm guessing that was constructed
I love it. Well,
ridiculously.
yeah, so that was the first conversation I had with Steve about getting very theatrical with the sort of light changes that happen in a room, like in Colorado where I grew up, where the sun comes and goes very quickly. And I wanted to really get theatrical with that. So no, that is months and months of work and prep by Steve Yedlin, pre-rigging lights on the set, which was the interior of the church, and doing a light control system so that on set we could basically play it like music on his laptop and control those light changes and shape it to the scene very organically as we felt what the actors were giving. But it makes me so happy when, nothing makes me happier than when friends see the movie and they're like, oh my God, what a magical moment it must have been when the sun just happened. I'm like, yes it was, yes.
The sets were incredible. I mean, I kept forgetting that we were on a set. That church was so gorgeous, so beautiful. Every single room, and like worn down in the right kinds of ways and lived in. It was so special.
Rick Heinrich, our production designer, I should give a shout out to, who also did Glass Onion and the Star Wars movie we made. And Rick came up with Tim Burton, and his kind of special genius is communicating emotional ideas through scale. He's incredible at that, and that set was just, yeah, that was extraordinary.
Josh, the tension, you have a different, all of you have different, I mean, first of all, it's a Knives Out movie, everybody's tense. It's just, it starts with tension, but his tension in a movie where other people can release valve the tension through performance and through the words and a lot of bigger gesticulation, and you had to stay like really contained. There was a specific containment within you, but you weren't contained at all. We all felt this contradiction over and over again. And I've been in movies where other people were doing big things, and I was like, oh, I will be invisible. Yeah. You had to have had a certain knowledge of your center line of what you were doing.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, first of all, I'm always drawn anyway to characters that, as you were sort of alluding to earlier, where you see something, and then behind the eyes there's something that we don't know, that they're hiding, or a secret, or something that they're trying to, you know, a Jungian sort of shadow, I guess. And so with Judd, there is this violence underneath, this historical violence that Ryan and I talked about from the off, that is ever present with Judd.
With all of us, by the way.
With all of us, yeah.
Not a
so
human
always
being
lovely.
doesn't have that
yeah.
instinct, so.
That's right.
Sorry.
And so in that sense, kind of keeping that bottled is sort of felt like it gave energy to the character. And then what you're describing, I mean, there's always that, some of the moments of deep frustration for wanting to be funny and not being allowed in my head was, those early scenes when I meet all the parishioners that are just so funny and everyone was doing their turn. Sometimes funny. One of the most moving scenes I've ever been a part of was being with Cailee and watching her just blow my mind. And definitely there were a couple of takes of that where I was just Josh, listening to a fellow actor and not doing any acting. But in those scenes, like with Daryl McCormack listing off all the things he's tried, like I tried the anti-trans thing, and which is one of my favorites. It's so amazing. But the temptation to sort of to go along on that ride with them, but actually Judd, as you say, Judd has to remain almost impartial, and he has to see the good in people. But the pleasure in that is that we can still show, I always felt you can still show that sort of inner confusion and surprise, and kind of layer that in. And he is ultimately the eyes and ears of the audience, and so there's a responsibility there. But yeah, particularly with Daniel, there were times where I was, and had to be contained by Ryan, go full slapstick, and had to be reminded, what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yes, well, as you said, it's behind the eyes, and Josh and I never met, and I got him for 5 minutes before anybody else showed up, so I fangirled, kind of in a big way, kind of gross way, just because I was just so amazed. But we started talking about challengers, and we talked about scores, and I was saying, in a weird way, challengers could have been a silent film with that score, because we all kind of knew what was going on in the story, and you kind of knew where we were heading, and you understood what the magnetic pulls were toward these people, but it's all in the eyes, and you have those eyes, young man, and it translates just exquisitely in this movie particularly, and the more constrained, in a way, the freer you are as an actor, and it's again, can I say it again, kind of an amazing performance, whatever. It's just beautiful.
I've never thought about this before, Jaimie, but it's funny, like there is such romance in Josh's eyes.
Yeah.
And in this film, I mean, I don't feel it personally, Josh, but in this film, it works because it's like a romance for Christ. Like he has this crush
That's
on
what
Christ.
I'm saying.
And you really,
and by the way, do you know who I thought of? Was it Ingrid Bergman who plays a nun? And that belief,
it's
right?
like a devotion.
You have to
Like really where the
remember.
word devotion comes
Devotion.
from. Yeah.
And what
Right,
does-
shut up.
It's
getting out of hand.
It's again, remember there's a craft service table and somebody's coming around with, tomorrow's call sheet, and then you're still doing that work.
I will say just one thing on
You just
what
say
Kerry's
whatever you want.
Okay, thanks. A director that will remain unnamed once told me, in terms of the romantic eyes, once told me that on screen, in respect of being romantic and sexy, he once described me as being on screen like a delicious, juicy roast chicken. But that as he got to know me in reality, I was like a raw slab of chicken thigh. Which is like, I don't know how to take that. Not well.
Oh, I think you just said it really well. I think we all get it. They're wrong.
Can we talk about also how amazing Daniel is? You brought up Benoit Blanc. And
Well,
I
I
feel
mean,
like
if we have to.
especially because he's not here, so there's no danger in doing it. If we say how great he is, he won't know.
Well, he's spectacular. And,
always
And it's
spectacular.
evolving, it's just beautiful to watch. And his contradiction, his wrestling with God. We all wrestle with God, unless you're just a dyed-in-the-wool atheist who just...
I think that even more so. I think.
But he's wrestling with something, and through your eyes, he's actually entering, I think, the God space. And because he's seeing it so clearly in your eyes, that the question then is that possible that this is existing, even though I've denounced it my whole life? So yes, he's spectacular in the movie. I will tell you just a funny Daniel story. When we were making it, it was the first movie he'd done since Bond, and obviously he was bound by Bond, if you know what I mean, like just the constraints of that, which is great but frustrating as an actor. And they came around with Good Morning America to do a first look on the set, and we were all paired, because there are a lot of us, and I said, okay, who am I paired with? He said, well, Daniel won't do Good Morning America. I said, why not? He said, well, he doesn't do Good Morning America. And I walked up to him. I was like, Daniel Craig. Really? You're not going to do Good Morning America? Come on. Well, no, I don't. I was like, yes, you do. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to do it with me. You're going to get paired with me. We're going to do Good Morning America together. You see, it's really fun. So we did Good Morning America. So then when the movie came out and we were doing junket, obviously they paired up everybody. And then Heidi Schaefer said to me, by the way, you're paired with Daniel. And I was like, we're Knives Out. I'm paired with Daniel. They're like, yeah, he requested it. And I'm telling you, by the end of it, you know how the journalists come in and they're like, hey, would it be possible for you to hi to my, you know what I mean? And all the publicists and all the handlers are like, no, 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 no. And I'm like, yes, give us your phone. Come here. And by the end of it, Daniel was like sitting on my lap. We were doing videos. So anyway, he is he was held back by the restrictions of that character, and you have freed him to be the brilliant actor that he is. You have freed Daniel Craig. Thank you, Rian Johnson. And by the way, a great bond, but come on. What a pivot, and just fantastic. Kerry, we were talking about the technical side. Now, I don't know about you, but like I build a certain way. How do you build Vera? Because you kind of know everything about her from the first time we meet her in the kitchen and the thing, or the scene with her and him when he comes in, and like, how did you, like, what was your path to building her?
I don't know. I felt like a lot of what Vera was struggling with was the idea of loyalty. And who is it important to be loyal to? To your family, to your church, to yourself. And I think she comes to a place of being willing to being loyal to herself. And I can say this because you've all just seen the movie, but Brian didn't know actually when he sent me the script that I've had a very somewhat parallel journey in my own family that I wrote a book about, where I found out a few years ago that my dad is not my biological father, and it sort of upended my family. It sort of turned us upside down and inside out. And so I felt a real closeness to Vera and the realizations that she was having, and the need to be in truth, even though everyone around her refused to be. And so I think a lot of my discovery of her was based in that idea of what it looks like when you don't know how to be your own best advocate, and you step into that power. So a lot of who she is in the beginning is sort of a person who plays by the rules. She looks and walks and talks in the way that she's supposed to. She's living up to her father's expectations, and his living a life that he designed for her. And then she comes into her own. And it was so fun for me to, like, you know, at the end of it, have that drink and that cigarette and just be a totally different animal. It was really fun to find that.
And did you bring a lot to, like, Jenny and just the look? She is very specific.
Jenny's so talented.
Great.
And I find that costume fittings are a place that I really find a character often. The costume fittings help me answer a lot of questions, and a lot of times I go into them with maybe a vague mood board, but there is something about, like, I put something on and it's either her or it's not. And then that it's her tells me something. It's like a real discovery in the moment. So I love costume fittings.
Well,
and
it
also
was very
hair and
effective.
makeup testing, like that stuff really, really helps me know who a character is.
Well, it was very effective. And very, you know, sort of targeted and specific, and I could notice it. Puppy. You also have a job where you're held by your physical restrictions. Not dissimilar to Josh, who's held a bit by just the limits of the garments he wears and the rules associated with those garments. You physically are held in a way that you were going to be for the majority of the movie, although every person in here gasped, as I did, when you stood up. And that moment is so, and with such a pin popping of tension.
Yeah.
And humor, because of course your movies are super funny, but it's such a great little moment. But for 98% of the movie, you're bound also by a physical restriction. And how did that, like, again, I'm just going to tell you, you did a great job. Tell us the question that I'm asking you. What am I asking you?
Yeah, that was something I never, you know, worked within that space before. But what really informed that was getting to learn the cello, which was you're using your whole body. Those people really are athletes. And that was such a cherry on top, working on this movie, hanging out with this cast, and then being like, you ready for your private cello lesson? I'm like, la la la. okay. Yeah, that really informed that, to know what she was giving up and making that physical, to follow my cello instructor around in London and seeing what the day in the life, and talking about his physical journey with that instrument, playing since he was 7 years old, and getting to sort of channel that emotional journey through her physical movement, or lack of.
Can I tell you my favorite Cailee story?
Please,
So my favorite
that's the
Cailee
point
story.
of these.
We started on the same day,
Yes.
and it was that scene with all of us sitting in the church, and she's smoking in the scene, and Glenn says, "Oh my God, Cailee's extraordinary. She's made this choice to shake in the scene." And later Cailee was like, "I was just terrified. I was terrified."
So cool and that thing. But my first day was with the entire cast.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, so.
And Glenn was like, "Oh, she's nervous, she's tense,
Like,
she's all
bless
this."
Glenn
So
for giving
I love
me
it.
all
I love
the
it.
credit.
I love it. But also, like, that's the magic of filmmaking. Like, the moment meets the moment, and you get it on film, and it's right. That's the magic of it.
All right, so I've thrown my notes away because we don't need them. And I was supposed to have a timer, but I don't see it, so I have no idea. People are saying wrap it up. Fuck off. I love that somebody's over there going like this to me. I'm like, really? You and what fucking army? We fucking own this place, bitch. You're not. Like, we will leave when we fucking want to! But having said that, before everybody leaves, can y'all go down the line and talk about an actor that's not here? And some special thing, some funny memory. By the way, there's nothing I hate more than when a journalist says, "Can you tell me a funny memory?" But tell me something about an actor who's not here, since the ensemble is clearly bigger than four. Cailee,
I
start.
mean, just Andrew Scott. What?
What about Andrew Scott?
It's just like the way he can hold comedy and depth at the same time, and he's so giving, and he's so charming. I mean, I have a massive crush on him, so I have to hold that back. No, I'm just such a massive fan, and I was so excited to work with that man.
I'll give two really quick. Jeremy Renner is the funniest human being. And I felt very moved watching him come back to work after his accident. And it was really to see him, how much, so much of his body is machine, and to see him like come into this human art form despite those challenges is incredible. I also think Mila Kunis does a phenomenal job in this film. Fabulous. It's so funny to me that everybody thought she could look like a regular cop. Like, she's still stunning in her like no makeup, hair pulled back. But she is like the ticking time clock. She's the one who like keeps the movie moving, and I think she's a wonderful foil to Benoit Blanc, and I think she just does a fantastic job.
I agree. Josh?
Well, I mean, I was going to go with, this film is full of like great, incredible movie stars, but I'll go with someone who's like maybe less known, in Glenn Close.
I've heard a lot about her, and it's really promising.
She's really got
exciting.
a long career ahead of her.
It's exciting.
No, Glenn is extraordinary, and joking aside, it is kind of hilarious that, she turned up on day one and there's no complacency. She's still like someone who's straight out of drama school. Ryan tells a story of one day, kind of me and Daniel in this church doing the scene, and Ryan's backing up and taking in what's going on and setting up the shot, and he bumps into someone, and it's Glenn, who's rapped like 2 hours earlier, and she's just there to like soak it all up and watch her fellow actors do something, Like, it's extraordinary to me. And she's so kind, she's so generous, so interested in everyone. Yeah, and she's quite good at acting as well.
She's raunchy too.
And she is raunchy.
Who are you gonna wrap it? Who are you
You know what? I'm gonna, because you know the pleasure in these things is you know, working with legends like Glenn, working with people that you've wanted to work with forever, like Andrew and like all these guys up here. There's a young actor in the movie, Daryl McCormack, who played Sai, and he had done a beautiful performance in Good Luck to You, Leo Grant, which is a beautiful movie with Emma Thompson.
Fantastic
Terrific. And then I had seen him on the stage a few times. He's largely done theater, and I think he is a really special young actor. And for him, also acknowledging, for him to step on the set and play off of, you know, all of these guys and play off of legends and just belong in that room from day one was pretty extraordinary to watch, and I think Daryl deserves a lot of credit.
It is my job to wrap this up. And the way I'm going to wrap it up is there wouldn't be a room for him to work in, or him to work in, this one to work in, that one to work in, were it not for this room right here, where so much has happened, and we are all so grateful for that room and the life that brought you to that room. And on behalf of the OG Knives Out crew to the NG, new gangster crew, simply thank you for the opportunities, for the experiences, and for bringing us together in the way that movies bring people together. And no better way to watch a movie than a Knives Out movie. So just let these people know.